Continuing on in the MSU Beaver Football Social for National Signing Day, I am now standing with the head coach, Mike Aldrich, and coach, brand new recruiting class coming in for 2022. You kind of mentioned, a little bit more flexibility in this recruiting class this year. Just talk more on that a little bit. What were you guys looking for in this class specifically?
Really for us, it was some very specific positions, very specific body types. We knew we wanted to hit it out of the park with a big-time quarterback. Not that we need a new big-time quarterback for the season with our freshman Dawson, but for the future. And so we put a lot of emphasis on that position, and then we also wanted to make sure that we could get a long wide receiver, just something that we don't really have, to give us that option out on the edge, a dynamic slot receiver. So those are probably the three biggest spots of need. We still have an offer out for a running back, but if we don't get them, it's not the end of the world. It's obviously we got a lot of talent there at that position with a lot of years left, and we got a lot of youth that haven't even gotten a chance to play yet. So that wasn't as big of a priority as those other positions. We do want to do better at the offensive line, so that's still we're still trying to track down some guys that we're chasing on that area. And then defensively, we needed to bolster our corner position. We've got a really good one, and so we graduated one, and we got a bunch of guys that have played that opposite spot, so we needed to bolster there and then bring in a few linebackers, which we accomplished, and then some edge rush type DNs. And that's probably the thing we lacked the most on this last season's team, was just a true pass rushing edge rusher. It's got a lot of big bodies that can just kind of muscle their way through things, but we need somebody that can we just beat somebody with speed.
Oh yeah, and it's amazing, to bring in all these guys and still have some offers out there. It's insane, what you guys are able to do. But let's talk about the hometown recruits. I don't recall much of any last year, but you guys brought in two this year. Tyler from Minot High, Josh from Bishop Ryan. Just kind of talk about, what did you see from this hometown class this year? What did you guys like on their film?
Yeah, starting with Tyler from Minot High, it's crazy. You watch his highlight video and you think you're looking at Jackson Lundeen. Almost like a spitting image. And Jackson had a phenomenal season for us this year as a senior. He had over 30 catches, did some really good things, got his first touchdown, and then got a couple of them. So as I'm watching Tyler on his highlight video, we just start to see Jackson Part 2 and how that fits what we're trying to do and all those things. So I think that was good. We've got some big body tight ends, but we need that I guess what you would call an H-back that's a much more versatile and a little bit more of a athletic threat. So that's what we saw out of Tyler. He's a legacy. His dad played here. So I think that was a pretty cool situation as well. And then Josh from Bishop Ryan, being the third Will brother to come into the program. That wasn't a done deal. It wasn't just like he was born to be a Beaver, even though he probably was. But that was his decision, and it took a while for him to come up with that decision, which is good. It has to be his, and I think that's really good. And we're staying in front of his older brother's Athlete of the Year, Scholar of the Year, right?
Award,
and Josh is very smart and puts just as much effort into academics as his older brother did, which is obviously a tip of the hat to his parents and what's important there. But we're excited with him. He's not a cookie cutter. Jordan was more of a cookie cutter. We just knew he had to bulk up, but he was going to be a big D lineman. Josh is not necessarily that. He plays a little DN, played some tight end, played some linebacker. So we kind of envision him as more of that stand-up DN, possibly outside linebacker type. We just know we want him in the program, and that was the most important thing for him to join our family.
It's always amazing. Yeah, you guys are always preaching the family aspect. Always amazing, to keep players within that family. And for next up, spring ball. You talked about that a little bit in your speech today. What's next now that restrictions for COVID have lessened? More people can start to attend these events more often. Just what's next for this Beaver football program before you guys hit to the fall season?
Yeah, well, spring ball is going to be huge for us. It's a normal spring. which we didn't have last year. So last year our spring was actually our fall, and our fall was actually our spring, and I don't even want to try to have to explain that to you or anybody listening, because it still confuses me at times. But last spring we got in, I think it was 26 practices. You are our drone pilot for most of them.
That was fun.
And we got a scrimmage. We got to scrimmage Dickinson State at the end, and but it wasn't as much as we wanted to be development. It was like we were just ramping ourselves up to finally go against somebody else. And so this spring it's going to be much more development for our young guys, but also, and more importantly, we had 24 season-ending injuries this fall. So of those 24 is getting those guys back and getting them playing football again and getting them prepared for the fall. And that's probably what we're more excited about. And of all those injuries, we had a lot of guys play that we didn't think were going to play, or before, I wouldn't say before they were ready, just we weren't anticipating it. And so now they can come into spring with a different status, a different level, a great example would be Dawson McCleary, who had to come in game 3, take over the reins, and then he ended up getting hurt, and Marshawn had to come in at the end. And so now going into the spring, those 2 guys are now our guys at quarterback. And if we do get Ben back, then he's going to move to a different position, and maybe he'll be our punter. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Ben. But I think that's really the biggest thing, is getting our injured guys back and getting them back playing football, because it's been a long time for them.
That's always key, to get some important players back. Well, Coach, always appreciate talking to you. Good luck in the spring, and most certainly next season when the fall comes around.
All right. Appreciate it all the time, Cole.